Good morning, everyone. This is the second part of section 9.1 for pre-calc. You're going to use sigma notation, which is summation, as in your adding notation. From yesterday, you looked at, say you had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. This is a sequence of numbers. A series of numbers is you're adding these up. Let's say I don't have this ... and I had to quit right there. This would be a series that you're adding these up. This is a sequence. So a series is a sum of a sequence. A series is a sum of a sequence. Okay? Getting used to what the notation says, this says you're going to start inputting numbers at 1, and you're going to stop inputting numbers at 5. So this is exactly the same thing as 3 times 1 plus 3, now input at 2, we started at 1, input the next biggest number, you're counting by 1, plus 3 times 3, plus 3 times 4, plus 3 times 5. And you stop at 5. Whatever this variable is here, that's the variable that's there. Okay? It's not I as in I is the square root of -1, it's just that's the variable that's in this pattern. Okay? Excuse me. If you have this one, it's a different variable. That's okay. It's just telling you what the variable is. And in this case, they're telling you to start at 3. So you input a 3. 1, I need the 1. 3 squared, because you're squaring it, plus 1 plus 3. Now you go to the next biggest. Oof. Come on. Somebody's not awake yet. You input a 4. I forgot the square. Plus 1 plus 5 squared plus 1 plus 6 squared. And you hit enter and it would add it all up. Okay? Now, this is what this means. Now, you type this in your calculator to get it to do it. You don't have to type all this out. I'm just explaining what this means. You're not typing this in as is. You're typing this in, and it will do this work for you. That's what this symbology means. It means take the sum of all these things, sticking one number in at a time. All right, so now let's show you two different ways to type this in your calculator. Now just remember, a series is a sum of a sequence, and that's all this says to do, is add up a sequence of numbers starting by inputting the 3 and stopping at 6. Start, end, whatever the two numbers are. Okay, so let's say you wanted to type this in your calculator. There's two ways. This first method will work on all calculators, regardless of how old they are or what the software is that is on it. If you start by hitting second stat, this is the screen that'll come up. You either arrow 2 over or 1 backwards, so you sit on math, and you grab the sum. Number 5, you can either arrow down and hit enter or hit number 5 and enter. Either way, and it will put sum on the screen. Then you hit second stat again, and this time you arrow over 1 to ops and come down and choose option 5 again. It's a different screen, but it's still number 5. All right, and you grab sequence, and this is what will show up on the screen. Then you type this expression, 2x plus 1, and then you have to close the paren. You have to tell it the variable that you're using, which regardless, so let's say you're back on this screen and you had a K or an I, you're going to choose X. You're just going to think of this as an X. Okay? When you go to type it in your calculator, whatever that is, whatever the variable is, you're choosing an X. Okay? Then you choose the variable. So I'm sorry, maybe I didn't say the comma. The comma is above number 7. X, you're telling it the variable, comma, you tell it where to start, comma, you tell it where to end, comma, and this number here is you're telling it you're counting by 1. The increment is 1. You're going to fill in a 1, then you're going to fill in a 2, a 3, a 4, and stop at 5. That the distance between these is 1. That's what this number here on the end does. It'll always be 1. It'll never be anything else than 1. So yeah, there you go. And then hit enter, and it will tell you 35. If you have a newer calculator, you can actually choose the symbol. And you do that by hitting math. Remember, if we had 0.2354, blah, 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 and you wanted to know what that was as a fraction, you'd go math, enter, enter. Okay, well, choose math, and then option 0, and it will bring that symbol up on the calculator. It'll bring it up blank. Sigma, and then there'll be a blank, and a blank. And you just fill in the numbers as you see them. You don't have to type x equals. That's not, you know, you're just going to fill in the number. It'll put it there. Okay? You don't have to type it in. Then you fill in the 5 and the 2x plus 1, hit enter, and you're on your way. Okay? So you're not filling in the x equals. That's going to be given to you. So I should say x equals is going to be there. So you're filling in the 1, the 5, and the 2x plus 1. Enter, done. So you had 2 methods to do this. This will work on all calculators. This will work only on the newer ones. Okay, the last style that you're going to get is you're going to be given a series like this, and you're going to be missing the number. So it's not intended that you type in the whole sequence of numbers and then hit enter. What's intended is that you figure this out, where you're starting, where you're ending, and what the expression is. Okay? Let me get those pens off. I really don't need it. Just doing that to illustrate the point. That you're going to fill in those 3 pieces given this pattern. So you got to figure out the pattern. So you filled in a 1 and got 1, filled in a 2 and got a half, a 3, a 4, and then you filled in something down here and got 128, or negative 128. First thing you should notice is that you're alternating signs. So when the first one is positive, remember that you're going to have a negative 1, and you have to alter the indice up here by 1, either advancing it 1 or taking it back 1. Okay? Now looking at the numbers, I filled in a 1 and got a 1, a 2 and a 2. So that's 2 to the first, 2 squared, 2 cubed. Often tells you get 2 to the something to get 128. This would be 2 to the 0. So notice the indice is off by 1. It's 1 lower. So you're going to have a 1, whoops, so over, I'm still over here, I'm still making it. I haven't combined it for over here yet, so let me get rid of that. Okay, still coming up with what the formula is. So I have negative 1 that's making the negatives and the positives. Then the bottom is 2, and the indice is off by 1. It's 1 less, n minus 1. So you could fill that in over here, or because these are the same exponent, you could combine this as 2, oops, negative 2 to the n minus 1. If this idea of combining and bugs you, then just type this in right here. Okay, no big deal. If your calculator is older, you may need to put this in parentheses. Okay, depends on if it displays it up in the exponent or you're having to use that caret symbol. 2 to the caret n minus 1, you'll need parens. But if it's showing you as an exponent, you don't need the parentheses there. All right. Now, so that's 1 over negative 2 to the n minus 1. Now we have to figure out where to quit. If I'm reducing the exponents by 1, I still have to figure out where this goes. Where would I stop? So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So this was a 1, I guess, so that's where you filled in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I filled in an 8. This is the 8th term. This is the 8th term in the sequence because it's 2 to the 7th. Okay, this is 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1st, 2 to the 2nd, 2 to the 3rd, and so on. Okay, so this is 2 to the 7th. Yeah, it's the 8th term in the sequence, but the number that you filled in, it's the 8th term in the sequence, but the number that you're filling in is a 7 to generate 128. Okay, so I have to stop at 7. So this is what you're going to type in your calculator. Either doing, oops, starting at 1, either doing this method or this method where you're actually displaying the sigma. Which method you use depends on either the vintageness of your calculator or which way you want to type it. Okay, so there you go.